Good morning. Today we're going to talk about symmetry and lines of symmetry. And most of you might have known symmetry from third grade. Basically, symmetry is just saying things that are symmetrical. That's where symmetry and symmetrical, lines of symmetry, they all tie together. Basically means like if I fold something in half, it is going to be equal or the same. It's going to be symmetrical if I opened it up from one side to the other. So I always tell my kids my face. A lot of times your face is symmetrical. So if I was to draw a dotted line, down my face, I have an eye on this side, I have an eye on this side. I have a nostril on this side, a nostril on this side, ear on this side, and ear on this side. So it may be a little different just because of maybe freckles or that kind of thing, but if you look at your face, it is symmetrical. A lot of times butterflies, if when you get on Google Classroom and look at the practice page, Ms. Dyer put a gorgeous butterfly at the top of it, and if you look at that butterfly and you kind of draw a line down his body, he's symmetrical or on either side. So he's kind of got a line of symmetry. If I was to fold his wings together like this, they would basically be symmetrical and he would have a line of symmetry down his body. So most things only have a one line of symmetry to say that it's symmetrical, but other objects can have more than one. So we're going to look at some things that you may have a line of symmetry, may not have a line of symmetry, and may have more than one line of symmetry. So let's look at some examples. So if I was to do a square, so I'm just going to take just a regular square. Sorry if my sides aren't exactly the same, but if I was to basically fold this, and how many lines of symmetry I could get quite a few. One, I could take it right down the middle, and that would be one line of symmetry because I could fold it in half and I could open it up, and this side could be symmetrical to this side. Then I could go and take it this way. And if I fold it in half, then basically we have two lines of symmetry. This is called a vertical line of symmetry. So if it's going up and down, it is called a vertical line of symmetry. So, and if I go this way, I have a horizontal line of So if it's going this way, it's considered horizontal, and if it's going this way, then it's considered vertical. So up and down is vertical, side to side is horizontal. But most of us know from making the little cootie catchers that we like to make and play our math facts or our games, and we put our Caesar's words on them sometimes, that you can basically fold a square on the diagonal. So if you look at a square, it's going to also have a diagonal line of symmetry going this way and that way. Sorry if my lines aren't perfectly straight. So if I was to basically count the lines of symmetry for a square, I could basically start here and go, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I would have 8 ways that I could definitely fold that. I could take this top and go to this top or this time, but really and truly you've only got 4 lines that run through it. So you only have 4 lines. So if I look, I have 2 yellow and 2 green that are running through my shape. So if I was to look and say how many are basically lines of symmetry that a square would have, I could put 4 lines. okay? So that's your star, your, let's see, a rectangle only has two. Some of the octagons, that when you can turn them, I know example that I've seen on a test before is like a starfish, where each time that star turned and they could make it look like a line of symmetry. So it would have 4 or 5 lines of symmetry depending on what kind of star it was. You know, if it is a circle, I would basically only say 2 lines of symmetry, but it could get tricky because you could, you know, basically turn it to degrees every so often and fold it. So a circle could have many lines of symmetry. We won't go that deep into lines of symmetry, just learning how to find lines of symmetry and knowing how many there are, and knowing that these are vertical, these are horizontal, and the ones that run across are called diagonal. So that would be symmetry on a shape, and Ms. Dyer put several practice pages in the Nearpod for you to be able to actually draw your lines of symmetry. So make sure you go to that Nearpod and practice your line of symmetries before you actually go to the practice page that Ms. Dyer will be taking, or that you will have to submit. The Nearpod will just be practice for yourself, and then your practice page on Google Classroom is what you will submit. So let's look at maybe some letters. So I'm going to look at, let's do A, B, C, D, and I'm going to jump to G. Okay, so if I look at A and just looking at some letters here, I can basically go into and take my pencil or whatever I've got and just kind of draw. I'm going to actually just draw a line. And so I can see that my A could fold in half and be symmetrical. My B, I could come here, but if I fold it in half, it really doesn't match up. So if your B is more the bottom and the top, when you draw them are even, then yours might be, but Miss Dyer's is not, okay? So the C you could, Miss Dyer's is not basically symmetrical, but you could take the C and right there, just based on your handwriting. Again, the D can be right there. You could fold it and my top and my bottom would match. Again, the G would not have a line of symmetry. I can't go this way or this way and it be symmetrical. So it is not a good, kind of scratch through it, it is not. So it would have 0 lines of symmetry because you could not fold it in half either way and be able to make it symmetrical. So that's just looking at like some letters. Let's look at some numbers here. Let's take 2, 3, let's do 8, and let's do 9. All right, so if you look here, if I tried to fold it here, I couldn't do it. If I fold it here, I couldn't do it. So that has 0 lines of symmetry. Now my 3 is a little more symmetrical, so if I do this, I could see it would have 1 line of symmetry. My 8, a little different. I could take it here and fold it in half, and it's going to be pretty symmetrical. And I could take it and fold it top to bottom and find another line of symmetry to make it symmetrical. So I'm going to say 2 lines of symmetry for my number 8. And then 9, if I try to do it this way or this way, it would work. So there again, I have 0 lines of symmetry. So that's just your lines of symmetry, looking at different letters, different numbers, different shapes. It's very crucial for you to actually, you know, take it. I always kind of like draw them on the piece of paper and maybe fold them in half myself to make sure that they would, you know, fold in half and make that line symmetrical. They will try and trick you, so please make sure that you pay attention. Feel free on the Nearpod to draw on all of them. Ms. Dyer has tried to put many draw slides on there so that you can actually draw the lines of symmetry, so you could kind of know what it means to draw a line of symmetry and where it might be. Then looking at different shapes and basically determining how many lines of symmetry that shape would have. So remember, even though you count all of the lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you could fold it different ways, but you actually only have 4 lines that run through your shape. So you have 4 lines of symmetry, 1 vertical, 1 horizontal, and then 2 diagonal in the different colors. I also included a practice page on Google Classroom, so please make sure that you do the Nearpod for your extra practice before submitting the practice page on Google Classroom. Again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me.